What's up, my Central Unit? It's the Central Man here, so back again with another classic WWE pay-per-view review. In 2004, WWE released a DVD documentary called The Rise and Fall of ECW. It's a documentary about the history of Extreme Championship Wrestling. It received very strong positive reviews. It was a success at the time, one of the best wrestling documentary they ever done at that time. So in 2005 they decided to do a pay-per-view called One Night Stand. It's a ECW tribute show. Like the documentary, One Night Stand 2005 was also a financial success. The show received about 325,000 pay-per-view buys. A show I did review in the past. I reviewed it last year. Go and check it out. Anyway, so fast forward 1 year later, they decided to do One Night Stand again. This time to kick off ECW as a third brand. So I don't want to get into the whole ECW as a third brand, ECWWE or WWE ECW, you know. I think it's been done to death by many YouTubers over the years. I might do it one day, but this is not the time to discuss ECW as the third brand. I might talk about it a little bit, but if I talk about all about it, it's going to be a very long video. So anyway, so this show was at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City on the 11th of June 2006. The attendance of the show was 2,460. One Night Stand 2006 received about 304,000 pay-per-view buys. A bit of a drop off than the previous year's One Night Stand show. Like I said, One Night Stand 05 drew about 325,000. This show drew about 304,000 pay-per-view buys. So anyway, so the commentators for One Night Stand 2006, we got Joey Styles and Taz. So like I said, One Night Stand 05 was the ECW tribute show. You know, it's not just WWE's best pay-per-view of 2005. I think it was voted as one of the best pay-per-views in the Wrestling Observer of best pay-per-view of the year of 2005. I forgot to mention that. So anyway, so the 2006 One Night Stand show was, like I said, just kicking off ECW as the third brand. Anyway, and there was no dark matches for the show. So before we get to the actual first match to kick off the show, we got Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman came out, you know, wearing his ECW baseball cap, the trench coat, the headphones around his neck, and also wearing the backstage pass. Anyway, so he got like a good pop, you know, good reaction. Fans chanting towards Paul Heyman, like ECW and Paulie. Like, he cut this good promo. He said like on the behalf of the wrestlers, you know, who lived the dream, fought the good fight, never give up hope. Said like the tribe of the Extreme has risen again. He said like we're gonna pour down. I kind of remember a bit of this promo, not a lot, but anyway. So he said like he's gonna pour down the Kool-Aid down each other's throats. And remember, this started in this place tonight. And also said ECW's back on national television or national cable. It's on Sci-Fi, better than the last TV deal. You kind of referring to national cable. You kind of referring to ECW on TNN. That was ECW's home for a bit, and then WWE was also on TNN for a bit, and then TNN became Spike TV, and then Spike TV is now like it become the future home of TNA. Anyway, so he kind of say, you know, don't thank me, don't thank Vince McMahon. He thanks a lot of you. Also says he kind of gives them nicknames, like he said, like he's the Messiah of the new breed Unleash, the Rabbi of the Revolution, and the swinging schlong of the Extremes. It's imagine like calling Brock Lesnar the swinging schlong of Suplex City. That would be so sus. So anyway, so he said like this is not Monday Night Raw, this is not Friday Night SmackDown, welcome to the rebirth of ECW, and that was it. You know that was a good promo for Paul Heyman, one of the best talkers of all time in pro wrestling. So the first match to kick off, you can call it a match, but so the first match to kick off One Night Stand 2006, we got Taz taking on Jerry the King Lawler. I don't think there was any build to this, because before this, I think this is before the show. WWE did like a special episode, I think it was on Raw, called WWE versus ECW. It's part of their draft. I forgot to mention this. This is the first pay-per-view after the 2006 draft. You had Lawler and Taz kind of trading blows on commentary. This led up to like end up brawling on that same show, referring to WWE versus ECW. And also he made Joey Styles quit. This was on the 1st of May episode of Monday Night Raw. Lawler kind of teasing Joey Styles because I think on the same night, I think John Cena was facing Kenny as Kenny Dystra, member of the Spirit Squad at the time, for the WWE Championship. He's trying to make Styles say, I'm the new WWE Champion, but Styles had none of it. He wants to continue to do his job. He kind of mocked his catchphrase called "Oh my God." Styles filed back at Lawler, called him a hack. He kind of shoved him, and you can tell like Lawler is pushing Joey Styles' buttons, and Styles slapped Jerry Lawler in the face. That kind of snapped the King, and the King just basically, I think he pushed him into the ground. Styles quit. He walked towards the ramp. He came back, did that work shoot promo, said about about sports entertainment. It says you can't call the wrestlers by the moves. You have to tell stories. He wasn't at he didn't call WrestleMania, didn't call Backlash. Makes him sick. He did a promo on Vince McMahon. He mocked God. Basically showing his frustrations. He kind of shows frustration why he's, as a commentator for the WWE, he was filling in for Jim Ross, he's so frustrated, and he said he quit. It's a way to write him off because JR is back on Raw. He ended up going to ECW and also call this show One Night Stand 06. So anyway, so let's get back to this match. Lawler, Taz got cheered, Lawler got booed. I mean, he didn't got booed heavily, but he got booed. It's a bit of a callback for Jerry the King Lawler's gimmick at the time, because at the time in the 90s, WWF, right now WWE, was in a working relationship with ECW. Lawler appeared on ECW programming, berating and bashing ECW, calling it extreme crappy wrestling. So he kind of confronted Styles once again. He kind of, instead of pie facing him, he kind of slapped him in the face, walking down to the walking like down to the aisle into the ring. The match starts, and then suddenly Joey Styles come out of his commentary table and jump Lawler onto his back, trying to give him the sleeper hold. It was not so good sleeper hold. He's on his back like a monkey, and then Lawler kind of thrown him off him. He kind of thrown him off his back, trying to hit Styles with the power driver, but instead Taz lock in Lawler with the Taz mission. What's it called? The Kaja Haja Main. It's called. Sorry, I can't pronounce his Taz's old submission hold name. So anyway, so Lawler did not tap out, he passed out, and Taz won this match. And this is Taz's first wrestling match for 4 years, June of 2002. Anyway, so Taz got the victory, and going back to this, this is, I don't really call it a match. It's basically an angles disguised as a match, I think it's for the best. It was very short. Because at this moment in time, both Taz and Jerry the King Lawler were way past their best. Lawler was in his 50s or mid 50s, and Taz was in his late 30s. First match in 4 years. I think they did a good job. If they did like a full length match, I don't think it'll be that good, but the fans were into it. People want to see Taz kicking Jerry the King Lawler's ass. It accomplished did the good tick around it. It accomplished one thing. Like I said, it was Taz's first match in several years, and this is actually Taz's final match as a wrestler. Even though his run in WWE was not so good, as a wrestler, made his debut, did nothing after that. He did win on. I think he went on to win the tag team titles and the hardcore title. Competing in that crappy battle or scramble match at WrestleMania 16, but and then he suddenly just retire. End up becoming a commentator. Sorry. Anyway, I think it was a good way. It was a good way to end Taz's career. He made his debut at Madison Square Garden. I'm talking about for the company WWE. In 2000 at the Royal Rumble, tapping out Kurt Angle with the Taz mission. And then fast forward 6 years later, in his final match, he made Lawler passed out with the same submission hold. Yeah, it was a good way to end Taz's career as a wrestler. Anyway, moving on to the second match of the night. Not the match of the night, but the second match of the show. I'm trying to say. So the next match we got Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. So this is a continuation of the rivalry. It started early in the year, leading up to the World Heavyweight Championship triple threat match at WrestleMania 22. Then I think Orton and Kurt Angle fought in the King of the Ring tournament. So they fought in the quarterfinals. I think Angle win or got himself disqualified, but on that same match, like I said, in that King of the Ring match, Kurt Angle broke Randy Orton's ankle. It's a way to writing Randy Orton out of the storylines because in real life he got suspended for 60 days. I think it was unprofessional conduct. I don't know what he did. So then in that I think he answered Kurt Angle's challenge. He hit I think it was one of his first appearance back. He hit Kurt Angle with the RKO. On the WWE versus ECW special, they had the Battle Royal. Kurt Angle, by the way, Kurt Angle was the first guy drafted to ECW. I think it was designed to have Angle boost its legitimacy. So Angle was representing ECW. Orton was on SmackDown, now he's on Raw. He eliminated Kurt Angle in that Battle Royal. Continue off this rivalry going into this show, One Night Stand. It's funny, Angle in this show, he is this basically this savior, this ECW hero, but he has a really bad relationship with Extreme Championship Wrestling going back to 1996. So in 1996, this was, I'm guessing this is months after Kurt Angle won the Olympic gold medal at the Olympic Games in Atlanta. Angle said in an interview that he's never grew up as a wrestling fan, so he appeared on ECW, I think it was Hardcore TV. He had this in-ring interaction with Taz. Then on that same night, Raven crucified the Sandman. It kind of pissed Kurt Angle off because Kurt Angle's a very Christian man. he threatened to sue ECW if he show his imaging ever again. And then funny that 3 years later he ended up getting signed, or a few years later he ended up getting signed with the WWF/WWE. And the rest is history. So that was, that ECW appearance was Kurt Angle's first exposure to professional wrestling. Then fast forward to 2005 at the first One Night Stand show. He was part of the anti-ECW Crusaders. He called ECW scum on God's green earth. You got the fans chanted, "You suck dick," and at the end Kurt Angle chanted, "Your mother's taught me how." And then all of a sudden, it happened. Everything changed after 1 year, and then all of a sudden he's now, representing the hero to ECW. So, anyway, Kurt Angle came out with a different theme. It's similar to his current theme we all know, but this time it's a void. The fans chanted, "You suck." Anyway, so Angle in 05-06 was dubbed as the Wrestling Machine. He's no longer, doing the comedy. I think his character will continue. He continued using that gimmick going into his run in TNA. That's another story another time. Anyway, so Orton came out with boos. The most famously, there was a young fan punching Randy Orton in the arm. And Orton just basically, I think he stabbed him down. He came to the ring, did his pose, and then he got that gold pyro dropped down to the ceiling. I'm going to compare it to the main event. We'll get to the main event later on. The fans were basically giving Orton some abuse, man, because he's like Kurt Angle, he's represent ECW, and Randy Orton's represent WWE. I'll get to that part shortly. So the fans were really giving Orton some shit. They were chanting like "fuck you, Orton." Every time he leaves the ring, he got called. The fans called Orton a pussy. The fans chanting, he chanted towards Angle, "Fuck him up, Orton, fuck him up." Not fuck him up, Orton. He kind of chanted like, "Fuck him up, Angle, fuck him up." And also the fans chanted, "Break his ankle." And also, I think the chant was, "Orton, you got bitch slap." And also when Orton locked in I think it was a rear naked choke, or choke hold, whether it's a rear choke or a chin hold. The chant was him boring, because Randy was putting on rest holds. I think it was called rest holds Randy because he's a heel. He got the fans chant boring. So it's fuck you, fuck you, Orton, pussy. Fuck him up, Angle, fuck him up, and break his ankle. And also, they were chanting towards, I think, Orton sucks and Orton swallows. I can't remember. And also, they were chanting towards Orton, "You fuck John Cena, you fuck Cena." So a lot of abuse. The wrestling is more technical wrestling. Both Angle and Orton wrestle in that technical wrestling way. It was a really good match. Good back and forth. I don't think Orton hit like a single RKO. He was going for the RKO. I think he kicked out of the He kicked out of the Angle Slam that got booed. Anyway, so in the end, Angle locked in the ankle lock onto Randy Orton. Orton tapped out. Angle got the victory, and afterwards you got like not paramedics, but other referees trying to escort Orton out of the ring because he's hurt his ankle, and once again the fans chanting "pussy." So good win for, and this is the first ever I think it's the first one-on-one match. No, I'm lying, because I think they had a match a couple of years back in 02. They're both on SmackDown compared to the last meeting, the current meeting from 06. But I think at the time Orton was still new, not really an established guy. And then 4 years later they kind of had that started that rivalry, because at the time Orton was now an established character. Back then he was just you can call him a jobber, but yeah, I think it's the first one-on-one match they ever had. It was a really good one, and they end up having another they had the rematch at Vengeance in July that Orton will get his win back, and that was Kurt Angle's last pay-per-view match he had for 11 years, because this was the beginning of the end of Kurt Angle's time in WWE, because his last televised match was on ECW against RVD, and then his actual final match with the company was not on TV or a pay-per-view, it was at a house show. It was an ECW house show, and his final opponent of his first run with the WWE was Danny Dorian, and then he got released. I think it's due to like health problems and drug problems. There's rumors like Triple H pushed him out of the company. And shout out to and big up to Robin Sanders, but subscribe to his channel. It's called Sanders Robin 24. He does a lot of wrestling reviews. Go and check it out. So I think it's one of the best matches of the show so far. Anyway, so the next match, this is a tag team match. We've got the FBI, the team of Little Guido. I'm trying to pronounce his name. Little Guido, better known as Nunzio in the WWE, teaming up with Tony Marmaluke, with Big Guido in the corner of Little Guido and Marmaluke, or Tony Marmaluke. They take on the team of Tajiri. In this match, he's known as Yoshihiro Tajiri and Super Crazy. The match itself was, I'm not saying it was a bad match, but it was just felt like a match on TV, not on a pay-per-view. You spend a lot of money, because I think it was Tajiri, Super Crazy, and Guido. They had history because they fought in the freeway dance. I think they should have done another freeway dance, in my opinion. But it was not fast enough. It was just standard in my taste, and so it had good moments with both Super Crazy and Tajiri. They did like double baseball sliding drop kicks after they put both Little Guido and Tommy Marmaluke into the Tree of Blow, or Tree of Low, whatever it's called. And then they did like a double tarantula on both two members of the FBI. Big Guido did get involved. Anyway, so in the end, the FBI got the victory. You had they hit like a double fisherman suplex. I think it was on Tajiri or I think it was on Super Crazy. I think hit the I think Super Crazy took like a massive bump into the crowd. Like Little Guido did that his sliding drop kick, and then Super Crazy crashed into the crowd. I think it was on Tajiri for the win. I can't remember who. So anyway, out comes the Big Show. Forgot to mention this on that same. I mentioned that like the Battle Royal they did. When I'm talking about the Orton Kurt Angle match. On that same Battle Royal, you had the Big Show was part of Raw. All of a sudden, now he's part of ECW. Ripped his Raw t-shirt. That is the red t-shirt. Now he's wearing the ECW t-shirt, to win that Battle Royal. So, Big Show came out, lay out the all four competitors in this match, including Big Guido. I'm not a big fan of the FBI. I don't want to get into it, It's funny, like, fast forward to December to Dismember. In December, 6 months later, in the match against Elijah Burke and Sylvester Takai, they end up getting no reaction. I did review December to Dismember 06. Go and check it out. So this was the start of Big Show's dominant run of ECW. I might do a future video on that. But the tag team match was okay. Wasn't special, just okay. Nothing. Don't need to go back and say, hey, I need to watch this match again. Anyway, you got JBL attending the show like he did the previous year. He was, because last year he was part of the anti-ECW Crusaders. You kind of berate Taz because he said to the ECW fans, how dare you take your backyard wrestling into my territory of New York City, because he's an adopted New Yorker, even though he's from Texas, you know. He said like he's gonna be the voice of SmackDown. Said like nerds like ECW. He kind of bring up his the brawl at the last year's One Night Stand show when he blatantly punching the blue meanie. Said like he bled and cried. Said like he said like Taz and RVD and Kurt Angle made by the WWE, you pay to see me, I don't pay to see you. And he said like he kind of referred to himself as the king of hardcore. He said this show, and also he said like this he said to kiss my ass, kiss my ass, this show sucks. And also before that, the fans chant you suck dick. Not on the same level as Kurt Angle said your mother's taught me how. He said, for JBL says, his rebuttal says, there is no women in here, and you're chanting of a male organ who is the fruit booty. Yeah, he said like this show sucks. He said kiss my ass, this show sucks. It's a way to rid off JBL as a wrestler. He ended up replacing Taz to be the color commentator on SmackDown. He come back in the ring at the end of 2007, leading up to his feud with Chris Jericho. So anyway, JBL. He went on to have a good run, his first good run as a color commentator. So moving on to the next match. This is the first of 2 championship matches on the show. This is an Extreme Rules match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Rey Mysterio defending the World Heavyweight Championship against the suicidal Sabu. And I don't want to get into the whole Rey Mysterio as the world champion. I said in my review, or my revisiting review of WrestleMania 22. I said it a little bit in my top 10 worst World Heavyweight Champions video. Otherwise I'm just beating a dead horse. So anyway, the fans were booing Rey, not on the same level as Orton, and then we'll get to the main event later on. But the match itself was 9 minutes, but it had some moments they both showcased the high flying, got them over. Like Sabu did I think they did the air Sabu, the Sabu splash he does. Rey did the guillotine leg drop. One time in this match he did the hit Sabu with the guillotine leg drop through the table. He tried to do it again when Sabu was placed onto the chair. He managed to get out of the way. He kind of landed on. Rey kind of landed onto the chair towards his balls, and also using the same chair, he kind of throw the same chair towards Rey's face. And also before that, they did like a chair sword fight. That was good. Like I said, nothing much to talk about this match. It has some good high flying moments. He had a lot of near falls, but the ending was disappointing. So here's the coup de grace. So you had Sabu hitting Rey with the DDT. He kind of DDT Rey onto the table. Both guys got knocked out. And then you got this. I don't know who this guy is. He's wearing this bow tie. He sounds like Joe Pesci, saying like no more. They cannot compete. Big bullshit chants, and that was it. So yeah, I don't think. Sabu, I think it's one of his interviews before he passed away, saying that was the original plan, having Rey and Sabu having a double knockout, double count out. I think he said he got punished because he got out, not selling the effects, so it's whatever. But yeah, man. So I think the writing was on the wall for Rey Mysterio as the World Heavyweight Champion. Like I said in my review, or my revisiting review of WrestleMania 22, he was booked like shit, losing matches. His vital win as the world champion was against JBL at Judgment Day of 2006. And like I said, I wish he got another win. I don't think Sabu. People say should Sabu win this match against Rey Mysterio? My answer is no. Because Like, I don't think Sabu won a world title. Was he ECW champion? I don't know. But at the same time, I think Ray needs that win. Like, I don't think it'll do for Sabu's career. So, anyway, so this was the writing against the wall. It was the writing against the wall for Rey Mysterio as the World Heavyweight Champion, because if you want more information how Ray lose the World Heavyweight Championship, go watch my review of the 2006 Great American Bash review. I call it the Great American, it's also called the Great American Elevated Liver M-Size for more information how Ray lost the World Heavyweight Championships. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is a 6-person hardcore match. So we got Edge and Mick Foley and Lita taking on Terry Funk, the Elevator of Violence, Tommy Dreamer, and his wife, Beulah McGillicuddy. So how we get there? So it started early in the year. You know, you had the start of the rivalry between Mick Foley and Edge, because he blames Foley for costing his WWE Championship in that match against John Cena on Raw. Then they had that hardcore match at WrestleMania 22, the best hardcore match in the ages. You know, you had Edge speared Foley through the burning table. So fast forward, you know, this was like a month later. I think it was in May. So in May they did this triple threat match. I think it was Edge, Foley, and Tommy Dreamer. I'm not too sure. So you had Foley turn on Tommy Dreamer, aligned himself with Edge. You know, they're in cahoots. You know, and they end up doing the whole hardcore champion thing. You know, they kind of bring back the hardcore title. Unfortunately, it was unofficial. It's a shame. I'll talk about it a little bit. You know, I wish they brought back the hardcore title. You know, be part of the ECW brand. Give the other guys fight for the hardcore title instead of just challenging for the ECW title. So anyway, like Lawler's, going back to when Lawler going back to his gimmick when he's, it's going back to it's another callback. I'm trying to say, like, once again, Foley's going back to the whole anti-ECW gimmick, because in 1995 he came to ECW from WCW. He was basically being WCW's cheerleader, saying like, I enjoy kissing Uncle Eric's ass, being the anti-ECW guy. And fast forward a decade later, this time he's the anti-ECW guy, the pro WWE guy. I think one of the promos he did, he got no reaction. He got a good promo calling ECW a sicked, twisted whore. And also, like, there was also one promo leading up to this, between Mick Foley and Terry Funk. You had Foley said he's gonna spit in Terry Funk's grave when he passed away. And then, Funk basically trading blows. He basically called, he kind of trying to push Foley's buttons, saying like, hey Foley, if I got a head like yours, I'm gonna get it circumcised. Hey Foley, your wife's a whore. And then he kind of says your children or your kids are bastards. He didn't really bring up the names of the kids. Their kids are, I think it's Dewey or Huey and Noel. Anyway, so I watched Holy Foley. That's a good show. Anyway, so he said like the WWE sucks. That's leading up to this match at ECW, and also you got confronted by Paul Heyman saying like, calling Foley, you're a prostitute of ECW. You prostitute your name, you prostitute your legacy. I will not stand by and sit there and prostitute hardcore. So basically he's a prostitute, man. Anyway, so Foley as a heel, I think it makes him. I think it's better than his heel run in TNA. That's another story for another time. But Foley heel run in 2006. You know, I think fans do not want to retire. Don't want to boo Mick Foley. You know, this semi-retire teddy bear. You know, this is the man who is. This is the man who got blow up in Japan. This is the same guy who got his ear missing in Germany. He lost an ear in Germany. I'm trying to say he lost the ear in Germany, and also he got thrown off the Hell in the Cell, and also spilled a lot of blood, and also then people don't want to boo Foley. I think Foley, you know, this is Foley's first heel turn. I think it's since '99 because they did this. Trying to do this heel run in '99. He got he blamed The Rock because he throwed his book in the bin. But I think it's his proper full heel run since 1998. But yeah, in that promo he did, it was a good promo. But at the same time, the crowd did not care. They did not react to Foley's promo. So anyway, get back to the this match. You know, before the start of the match, you know, Foley came. He was on the mic. Says, "You're right. I did sell out. I sell out Madison Square Garden. I do like ECW. You kind of appreciate a true visionary, a true creative genius. You kind of say, all hail Stephanie McMahon. The fans boo because Foley mentioned Stephanie McMahon. All hail the Alliance. Then out comes Edge. You know, he called these losers. You know, this is their Christmas. Their Santa Claus is fat, bald, and Jewish. An endless plot supply of bullshit. You know, they blinked out when Edge said bullshit. You know. Anyway, so he said like when they said to the ECW fans, you know, they're gonna talk to their imagination girlfriends about the show, and pled their poster towards Lita, and Lita cut promos towards Tommy Dreamer. When I sat on Dreamer's face, I guarantee it was the best action in one night than all you in a whole entire year. He kind of says you hang around with that hoe or whore. I think it's whore. I think it's skank. I can't remember. I think it's skank, referring to Dreamer's wife Beulah McGillicuddy. It's better than you than was than me. Anyway, so out comes Dreamer, Funk, and Beulah McGillicuddy. You know, Beulah was on the mic, said to Lita that, you know, the trash that comes out of your mouth is more disgusting that the trash comes out in it. She said you like threesomes. He challenged them to a 6-man tag team match or hardcore match. Put up and sit up and shut up. Lita slapped Beulah, and the match begins. You know, it starts out like a normal tag team match, and then all of a sudden it's turned into a hardcore match. You know, they use the tape, they use the ladder. You know, yeah, I think one more of the match. You know, like Edge was going to spear Dreamer through the ladder, but Dreamer countered it, kind of hit toss Edge through the ladder. I think Foley or Edge kind of knocked Terry Funk off the ladder. And also they used they used cooking sheets, you know. And also Lisa's got abuse, you know. The channel, like, she's a crack whore, she's got herpes, you know, going back to the affair she had with Edge, leading up to the real life rivalry between Edge and Matt Hardy the previous year. Anyway, so they use cooking sheets, barbed wire. I'll get to that later on. And also speaking of barbed wire, there was a barbed wire a board covered with barbed wire. You know, they kind of used. You know, Foley got stuck, and also Foley kind of used that same board towards Terry Funk. Kind of rammed it into, kind of stick it towards Terry Funk's face, and like Funk was bleeding buckets. He was selling the eye, saying my goddamn eye, Mick, and it got a lot like "You sick fuck" chants. Anyway, so and I think Foley lock in the mandible claw towards Tommy Dreamer's wife Beulah. And then you had like minutes later, you had Terry Funk wearing a bandage around his eye, come to the rescue. Anyway, they used the barbed wire, and also there was one spot, they used a barbed wire baseball bat, Lita got involved, I think he low blow, I think it was Dreamer. I think Dreamer trying to hit Edge with the Death Valley driver. But they used a barbed wire bat. They I think Lita did like a leg drop onto Tommy Dreamer's balls with the barbed wire baseball bat, Anyway, so I forgot to mention this. I'm not gonna. I have to mention it right now, otherwise I'll never talk about it. They never mentioned Lita's run in ECW, because if you don't notice, Lita, Amy Dumas was in ECW for a bit. She was, what's it called? Angelica, she was called. And then all of a sudden, she gets signed with the WWF/WWE, became Lita, and the rest is history. But they never mention it. That's kind of weird and strange. But anyway, so let's get back to this match. So anyway, so they used the bomb. I think like Dreamer. I think Dreamer. Lock in the I think it was a crossface. They kind of crossface Edge while using the barbed wire. It's funny. Like it's a shame he didn't do it on Lita, because going back is a bit of a. It's a shame. It'd be a good callback to the hardcore match at WrestleMania early that year. When Foley locking the barbed wire, using the mandible claw, wrapping Mr. Soccer with the barbed wire and applying the hold on Lita. But it's whatever, man. But anyway, you had so you had Edge kind of push Terry Funk. I almost call him Mick Foley. You both got like F's in their names, their last names with F. But Edge kind of pushed Terry Funk off the ring apron into the board with the barbed wire. Anyway, you had a cat fight between Lita and Beulah McGillicuddy. I think having a 6-man tag team match was the right call, instead of like both Lita and Beulah interfering. Beulah's not really a wrestler. I think she was a valet throughout her run in the original ECW. Like, she was in the wrestling business before. She was part of, I just find out, for the build up for this review, she was part of the, she kind of appeared in Stampede Wrestling in Canada in the late 80s. And then also, and then years later she was in ECW. Anyway, she was never. I think she had a fight with Bill Alfonso in the 90s in ECW, but she was never like a pro wrestler. Like she's facing an actual trained wrestler like Lita. I think play for her strength is the cat fight. Lita, she can actually go in the ring. She's one of the best female wrestlers out there of ever. Anyway, so in the end, you had Edge hit the he kind of wrapped the barbed wire around Dreamer's neck, hit the Edge-O-Matic, and Edge spear Beulah McGillicuddy and pin her for the win. The way Edge pins Beulah, it's so suggestive around her groin area, her legs spread up, So anyway, it was a really good match, good brawl, and this is Terry Funk's last televised wrestling match. He's gonna have matches years after the match at One Night Stand 2006. I forgot to mention this. Terry Funk was supposed to wrestle at the 2005 One Night Stand show, but unfortunately he committed to Shane Douglas's ECW tribute show called Hardcore Homecoming. But I forgot to mention this for Terry Funk. I keep calling him Mick Foley, man, because they got like F in their last name. So anyway, so it's a good way that Funk lose in defeat and have a good uphill battle. So It's not the last time we see Terry Funk on WWE programming. Like years later, he get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I think his last televised appearance with the WWE was in 2016. This is a decade after his match at One Night Stand 06. You know, he kind of give Dean Ambrose, you know, John Moxley advice lead up to his match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 32. So as for like you know, Mick Foley, Edge and Lita. Foley broke away with Edge and Lita. They went off their separate ways. I think they're teaming up for the purpose for this match on this show. So because Foley remains the heel, he went on to feud with Ric Flair the rest of the summer of 2006. So that's another story for another time. So moving on to the next match. So the next match, keep it short and simple. So the next match, this is another Extreme Rules match. This is a non-title match, by the way. A non-title Extreme Rules match. Balls Mahoney versus Masato Tanaka. Okay match. Not on the same level as Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome. That was a really good match at the last One Night Stand show from 2005. It was hard hitting, but it was too short. I think it was the shortest match. It was the second shortest match of the night. The shortest match of the night is Taz versus Lawler. It lasted about 35 seconds. Anyway, so it was. They had a sword. They had the chair sword fight. You know, the fight a little bit in the crowd, a bit. They hit each other with brain buster suplexes off the top rope. In the end, Balls Mahoney whacked Masato Tanaka in the head with the chair for the win. It's funny that, you know, years later, in 2011, they decided to ban chair shots to the head, not just in WWE, but overall in the professional wrestling landscape. So, okay match, and this was the last time we see Masato Tanaka in mainstream wrestling, because I think he mostly wrestling in Japan. You know, he's still wrestling to this day. I check his age right now, he's 53 years of age. He was 33 20 years ago. Wow, so young. But nothing special. I wish I had more minutes. Maybe it's like the 6-person tag team match, you know, was a bit longer. It was 18 minutes, but it's whatever, man. Before we get to the main event, so the main event, we got like this promo with Eugene, and the fans were booing Eugene out of the building. I think it was a little bit, you know, it's 50%. So he said like he loved ECW. My uncle Eric said I'm more smarter than an ECW fan. He was trying to get the whole I'm hardcore chant going, but the fans had none of it. And he said to the ECW fans, do you want to hear my poem? And the fans chant no. I don't know. I think this one fan says fuck you, and Eugene says good luck for that. Good luck to you. So anyway, I wrote down Eugene's promo, and it's crappy, but I want to like read it. So anyway, Eugene's ECW poem. ECW is a place to be. I love Terry Funk and RVD. Stevie Richards make me howl. When I take a bath, I want to use Taz's towel. ECW is no phony. I want to hug Balls Mahoney. I want to hug you all. And then I want to picnic with Sabu. And then I think he's also said again, I want to hug you all. You can tell like the writings against the wall with Eugene's character. Yeah, the fans chant shut the fuck up towards Eugene. Suddenly we got the Sandman. Sandman came down to the crowd, came to the ring. Eugene wants to hug Sandman, but Sandman cracked Eugene on the head with the candlestick, you know, and Joey Styles, you know, did a Forrest Gump reference saying like, run Eugene, run, Forrest, run. And that was it, you know. Yeah, the fans booing Eugene. You can tell like the Ryan's up the war against. You can tell it's the beginning of the end of Eugene. you know, because he ended up like turning heel that went absolutely nowhere. You could tell, like, I think the Eugene gimmick, you know, has run its course, you know. I kind of like this segment. I kind of like Eugene, man, even though his gimmick is so controversial right now, you know, because he's making fun of someone who's got autism and ADHD, you know, someone with mental disability. But for Nick Desmore, you know, very underrated worker. But I think Eugene is very underrated as a character, you know. This shtick with the Sandman whacking someone with the candlestick, that'll be the early gag in the early run of ECW on Sci-Fi. You know, he's whacking the ECW zombie, Nacho Libre, and you know, if they didn't do, you know, if he didn't show up, we could talk about a bit negative about. I'll probably talk a little bit negative about Eugene's segment with the, you know, reading that poem. So anyway, moving on to the main event. The main event, we got this is the second championship match of the night, and this is another Extreme Rules match. This is for the WWE Championship. John Cena defending the belt against Rob Van Dam. How we get there? So RVD won the Money in the Bank ladder match, won the briefcase at WrestleMania 22, and he announced he's gonna cash in his briefcase at One Night Stand. He's the first person that a wrestler who won the Money in the Bank briefcase. He announced that he's gonna cash it in on a pay-per-view instead of waiting for that person to after the match or getting beaten down. So anyway, so Cena, I think the build this, he's like fighting against Sabu on Raw, you know. RVD, he's, you know, most over, you know, and John Cena, man, Cena got fucking hate. Fans trying to boo at Cena, they're giving Cena the middle fingers, you know. Like, this is 2006, this is the height of the Super Cena push, you know, because, you know, in late 05, going into the early parts of 2006, you know, Cena was getting booed. He was getting mixed reactions, but like in these, I think like in these house arenas, you can tell, like you hear like some of the cities, the big cities, you know, he's getting that hate. You know, he's getting like the mixed reactions is if you listen to watch a John Cena match, you know, or promo, like the one half of the reaction, the people who are cheering for Cena, they are just girls and kids, and the boos are the men. Like the hardcore, I don't say the casual, but the hardcore wrestling fans that really hate Cena. The great example, he got that treatment at I think it was the Elimination Chamber match at New Year's Revolution 2006, same night when Edge cashed in the briefcase onto Cena. And also another example, you know, Cena got that fucking hate at WrestleMania 22 early in the year against Triple H. You know, driving the gangster's car, wearing the fedora, wearing the trench coat with the machine gun. You know, like Cena is like basically the machine's poster boy. He's the company's like golden boy. It's golden goose, you know. Like anyway, so before the start of this match, you know, Cena first off he take off his t-shirt, trying to throw his t-shirt into the crowd. The fans throwing every time Cena's trying to throw his t-shirt into the crowd, the fans throw the t-shirt back, you know. I think it was 3 or 4 times, and then for the final time he threw it into the crowd. Then you got this big black guy grabbed the t-shirt. I think one of the crowd, someone sneezed or spit on the t-shirt, and then this big black guy basically grabbed the t-shirt, rubbing the John Cena t-shirt on towards his bum cheeks, his ass, and he kind of throw it back to Cena, give Cena the middle finger. You know, the fans were chanting, fuck you Cena, fuck you Cena. And also there was a massive sign says, if Cena wins we riot, you know. Those ECW fans, these hardcore men wrestling fans that really want to kick John Cena's head in, man. Not put into Daniel Bryan's chant, you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in. Anyway, so they were like, they don't need to do anything because they got everything fancy. It's like the Randy Orton Kurt Angle match from earlier. They got the crowd in the palm of their hands, you know. The fans would, I think one fan kind of throw like toilet paper towards Cena, and I'll explain more of the chant. So it's fuck you Cena, fuck you Cena, same old shit. You can't wrestle. Overrated. Cena sucks. Cock. Cena sucks. Cena swallows. You know. I think when I watched this show, I think they edit out "Die Cena Die." It's like "Die Cena Die, Die Cena Die." It's the same chant, same riffing, like "Die Rocky Die." You know, from the 90s. You know, like Cena, like the fight in the crowd. I think Cena ripped a Cena sucks sign towards the fan. Like, you can tell it's getting to him, the male WWE fans, you know, because this is a hostile environment. It's not like a normal arena with the mixed reaction. It's just the male fans have the bone to pick with the golden goose, John Cena. Anyway, so Cena locking RVD with the first off, you know, I think RVD did his typical shit, you know, his stuff like I don't think he done the fan dominator. He did like that splash with the chair in the corner. He did the Rolling Thunder onto Cena with the chair. He was going for the frog splash while Cena's got the chair on him, but Cena got out of the way. He hit RVD with the he DDT RVD onto the chair. Fucking hell, that was, you can tell Cena is still a little bit green. He's not quite Big Match John yet. He kind of like catapults RVD onto the same chair, you know, and then he locked RVD with the STFU. RVD's hand reached the ropes. You know, you got this referee. I don't know who he is. It looks like Will Sasso, man. Yeah, it looks like Will Sasso's refereeing this match, but they got this like they kind of argue, the referee and Cena, similar to Earl Hebner and Triple H. You know, Cena decks the referee. He decks RVD with the still steps for the near fall. Yet out comes Nick Patrick. You know, fans boo Nick Patrick. I think the fans were chanting "fuck Nick Patrick," you know, because Nick Patrick was he's the loyal WCW referee. Anyway, so suddenly we got this guy wearing the trench coat and the motorcyclist helmet, wearing the helmet, spearing John Cena through the table. I think he decked Nick Patrick, and that person was Edge. The fans were booing towards Edge in the early in the show, the 6-person match early in the show, and fast forward to the main event, they were chanting "Thank you, Edge." Anyway, no referees. You had RVD hit Cena with the 5-star frog splash. Out comes Paul Heyman, did the 3 count, and RVD become the world champion for the first time in his career. I'll get to more of that shortly. So RVD become the WWE champion for the first time, dethroning Cena, having that good moment. He went to the crowd, into one of the balconies, sword. He kind of kissed his wife. I think it's his first wife at the time. Right now, I think he's married to Katie Forbes. Anyway, out comes the ECW guys, celebrate with RVD. One person wasn't there. I wish he was in this match. It's Bel Alfonso, man. You imagine Cena and Bel Alfonso, Fonzie blowing the whistle towards Cena. That would be funny if had Bel Alfonso, Fonzie, but whatever, man. I don't think Sabu was there because Sabu and RVD had some history. They were a tag team. They won tag team belts. They did challenge. Sabu challenged RVD for the television title in the original ECW when RVD was the reigning defending world television champion. So yeah, and also it's funny. Like imagine like if Cena if Cena did win, beat RVD on the show, what the reaction's gonna be? I think it'll be very hostile. I feel like fans throwing shit at Cena. I think they will probably kill Cena, to be honest. But I'm glad the right person won. Like yeah, he said, like RVD said, like if he wins this title, he rechristened the WWE Championship as the ECW World Title. Unfortunately, that's not true. It didn't come true, but RVD soon to not award. He end up get awarded. You know, end up getting the ECW title. You know, he become a double champion. RVD 2 belts. You know, he's not just the WWE champion. He's also the ECW champion. You know, like when you know when trying to get my words out. When you know, yeah, this match. This is RVD's first world title he had in his career, because he's never been world champion before. You know, like during the ECW, the original ECW run, he's never been never been world champion, never been ECW champion in the original run. He's been tag team champion, and he's been the television champion, holding that belt for 22 days. Not 22 days. 120. Is it 100? Yeah, 22 months. I'm trying to say. My apologies, folks. 22 months. Nearly 2-year run as the World Television Champion. But also then now he's now a 2-time champion, the WWE and ECW champion. He's on cloud 9. He thought things will be good for RVD. He's on cloud 9. Unfortunately, his push comes in a crashing end. So not too long after this, you know, I think he had a title defense against Edge at Vengeance. I think Cena got involved, and you know the stuff with Edge costing Cena the championship, and Cena interfering Edge's match with RVD at Vengeance is just set up Edge versus John Cena for that year's SummerSlam. So unfortunately, RVD's run come to an end, because not too long after this, you know, he got arrested. He was driving a car with Sabu, and they both got arrested of drug possession. So you had RVD lost the WWE title to Edge. I think it was the Raw after Vengeance, I think. And then suddenly he ended up dropping the ECW title to the Big Show, with Paul Heyman turning heel. I understand maybe Paul Heyman as a heel, or not, Paul Heyman as a babyface will never last forever. You can't have Paul Heyman as a babyface forever. He's better off as a heel. But yeah, you know, people will blame this on Vince, but no, I have to blame this on RVD. You gotta realize this whole thing, like not just RVD as the World WWE champion, but this whole one night stand show, the project, you know, having WWE doing 2 one-night stand shows will never come true if RVD never pitched the whole idea to Vince McMahon. You know, he pitched the whole idea to do an ECW tribute show. Vince gave the green light. It did well financially, and then it gave Rob a push. You know, winning the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 22, then winning the WWE Championship at the second one night stand show. You know, he kind of threw it back in Vince's face. He kind of shot himself in the foot. You know, if RVD didn't got arrested for drug possession or weed, whatever drug he smuggled, you know, would ECW be a success? Would RVD went on to have a good run as not just the ECW champion but the WWE champion? You know, it's a massive what if in the last 20 years. So, but at the time, you know, Cena will never. Go back to Cena before I end this to move into the overall reign. You know, Cena will never get that. The next time Cena will get that hostile reaction, I think, will be 5 years later at Money in the Bank 2011 against CM Punk. So at the time, it was the biggest moment for RVD's career. But like I said, once got one person's reached the top, and another one reached the low. That's referring to RVD. So, my overall rating of ECW's One Night Stand 2006 is a 9 out of 10. I think the 2005 One Night Stand show was better, but the 06 show was still good. Before we get more of this rating, in the pros and cons, I'm going to leave out the Rey Mysterio versus Sabu match. I'm not going to put it in the pros and cons instead of the ending to that match. To be frankly for you, it's still a good match, but it doesn't do nothing for me, I think other matches I'm going to mention a little bit shortly was outperform that match. The 3 matches stands out for me is Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle, the 6-person tag team match, and John Cena versus Rob Van Dam. I think the crowd in the Hammerstein Ballroom was good. Cheering for, the ECW guys instead of Angle, who's basically an ECW guy by default, even though he's not part of the original ECW. And basically booing the WWE guys like Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio and John Cena. And enjoy Paul Heyman's promo, and the segment between Eugene and Sandman was fun. In the cons, like the ending to the Rey Mysterio Sabu match, the FBI versus Tajiri and Super Crazy match, the tag team match, and Masada Tanaka versus Balls Mahoney. They're okay matches, but feel like the matches on weekly TV, but not on your pay-per-view. So it's night and day. Like even though ECW as the third brand did not live up the hype, didn't reach the heights. It's night and day of the 2 shows related to ECW, like this show One Night Stand 06 and one and only brand exclusive pay-per-view December to Dismember. So anyway, what's your thoughts on ECW One Night Stand 2006 and this video? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button, click the like, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube, be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. Next time we're going back to 2001, see how RVD and Taz and the ECW guys get along with technically the first pay-per-view to truly kick off the Invasion storyline, with the first and only Invasion pay-per-view. That'll be next time, folks. Until then, this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later. And that's my review of ECW's One Night Stand 2006. I give it 2 thumbs up.